knowledge on the flow, 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 flow. I've been golden from the go, 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 go. Let these pseudo scholars know, no, 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 oh. Baby, welcome to the show, 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 show. Yeah, show you how to flex with a strong point. Wait, wait, show you where the facts and the stats and the proofs point. I've been grinding leases in the late night. Wait, standing on the stage with the main light, enlightening, mind enlightening. Philosophers, scientists, historians united. Warriors of logic who want the smoke, get excited. Bring your primary sources, don't get ignited. Slide on my prompts, look it up, read a book. Never going back to the dumb, take a look. Woke, not broke, we run the show, sport the glow. Titans in the league, watch the intellect grow. Coliseum arguments locked at the door. Welcome to the show, floor full of lore. I'm the GOAT, with the flow, there's knowledge on the flow, 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 flow. I've been goated from the go, 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 go. Let these pseudo scholars flow, 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 flow. Baby, welcome to the show, 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 flow. Seems only time when I'm speaking, reason, 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 peeking. Like the truth that they all have been seeking, my logic weakened. To them that's important, show up, don't be late to the debate. Never see myself falling, 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 falling. Picture me falling off back to ignorant and stalling. Got the citations loaded in order, crossing every intellectual border. Hey, I could've never seen a day. All this knowledge on the flow, 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 flow. I've been goated from the go, 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 go. Let these pseudo scholars know, no, 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 no. Baby, welcome to the show, 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 show.
Okay.
Inside of my spirit, they thought I would bend, I just held in my lane. They said the things I believe with delusion, I waited on truth, now they talk like I'm sane. Told you that I was the one, the one, the one who would not move the same. Silent, never undone, undone, undone. Slow burn while I rise with a flame. Put up with love.
OWL, only world logic, OLEEE. Only logical explanation of existence. Know the ledge.
Philosophy.
We about to get started here shortly, y'all.
I mess around and catch a case with this one. Make 'em wanna party in outer space with this one. We slap these haters in their face with this one. Wait, I missed one. 2 times we on time. Every line of treasure you only find in my mind. And you know I work in the mines. I don't charge a dime for you to stay out of mine. Yeah, they fear as soon as they hear it. Smart minds salute it, the weak minds fear it. Like Aristotle, I question coherence through the eyes of a thinker. Truth become appearance. Only answers come from the questions you form with time and nature. Every question transforms.
Okay, welcome back to Coliseum Arguments, hosted by Titans Debate League. I am the host with the most, the man with the plan, back again for another one. This one is called All mRNA Jibby Jabs Are Risky, to 2026 Critical Report. And we're going to be going over a video from Immunologist, Professor Angus. I'm not going to butcher that last name. We'll call him Professor Angus. I guess he wants all the beef when it comes to this debate. And Dr. John Campbell as well. I'm not going to hold this one up, folks. Let's get right into it. Let me share my screen. Wait. I can't just slide past like that. First, Oli, how you feeling today?
Yo, what up, man? So you know how I'm feeling, man. Just trying to be enlightened, watching out for the snakes that's striking and the dogs that's biting. You know how we do it. It's like you said.
Let's go. You already know. I don't know why I spin it like that.
Yeah. An illusion is the misrepresentation of actual events.
Exactly.
Which leads to a delusion, which is a false belief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. One question in my mind, Gus. We know that spike protein is still in the bodies of patients who've been vaccinated. Now we know up to 3 years. Now, is this because the pseudouridine makes the RNA live for a long time in the cytosol of the cell? Or do you feel this is more definitive proof of reverse transcription, where the genetic information from the vaccine has gone into the person's DNA? Because to me, if it's 3 years later, I can't imagine RNA, even with a pseudouridine hanging around for 3 years. I think this is evidence of reverse transcriptase. What reverse transcription? What's your thinking?
Well, it's a very erudite question, and I think it's hard to be absolutely sure. I would say that both are likely to be right, but when it's coming up to 3 years, etc., I think it has to be integrated. Integrated. But if it wasn't for the stability of the pseudouridine, it would never have got integrated
in the first place.
But other people would say, oh no, it would, because they used LNP particles, these lipid nanoparticles. They're what.
And for anybody who missed my video I did on Unc West, actually, in my presentation, I went over actually everything they're talking about. And we're going to get into the spike cancer rates as well. I didn't talk about that in my video, but I did go over the science of what people believe are causing it. So let's get straight back into, let the immunologist talk.
Gets it into the cell, well out, and a reverse transcription event could happen anyway, because there are endogenous retroviruses and everything in every cell. All sorts of things are possible.
Yes, and a lot of people think that the cell's own biochemistry produces some reverse transcriptase as well.
Yes, they do.
So it certainly seems to happen in white blood cells, where you get acquired longevity of the immune memory.
And certainly And certainly I did an awful lot of virus hunting after HIV. We're looking for retroviruses and everything. And we postulated they could cause lots of disease that we didn't really know the cause of. And it was one of the routes we went down was multiple sclerosis. And it wasn't just me. It was working with lots of people who were at the top of their field. And some of them felt it had to be a virus. At any rate, so looking at this, we came to the conclusion that it had to be at least 2 hits, because the link with EBV, Epstein-Barr virus, is absolute. You never get an MS without that. But 90% of us have got it, and we don't have multiple sclerosis.
Or have had it, I mean, virtually everyone will have antibodies, won't they?
And so we looked for a signature. We found a very faint signature, but not convincing. As a group in France went on really, really in depth, and they found retroviruses in multiple sclerosis patients. But these were endogenous retroviruses, which are part of the genome asleep. So they had been activated. And so as soon as you are aware that can happen and does happen.
Right. So that means there's this reversing transcriptase enzyme is knocking around. Yeah.
So the number of possibilities that integrated messenger RNA could have there's just so many knock-on effects that we can't even imagine, because there's so many possibilities.
And despite all the personal tragedies and the medical tragedies we've seen, this is exactly how science should progress. Looking at this,
yes,
is this a revival of sort of Lamarckism? The reason the giraffe's got a long neck is it stretched up for lots of generations to get there.
Well, that's the standard.
It's interesting.
That's the standard of medical leadership we have at the moment.
Very much so.
They are
Very new information. Don't dare ask questions. Sit down.
Yes.
Shut up and do as you.
Yeah, I like that joke that he had on Lamrockism. If you don't know who Lamrock is, go ahead and check out my podcast on evolution. I might have made it members only. I know I was going to start sending all my lessons over there. But yeah, definitely check out my podcast on evolution. I went over him. That's funny. They got jokes.
Told.
And I think they're all guilty. And I now openly state that for whatever reasons, I don't believe any of them can be that stupid. I really find
this is really, it's really hard to explain. They appear to be. I mean, people like Patrick Vallance and Chris Whitcher, they're both consultant physicians in their time.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think you could be totally stupid and be a consultant physician.
No. And they both said sensible things at some stage in the early.
Yes.
They both said sensible things about herd immunity and letting it go through, and and then they all reversed it. They all reversed it and insisted. The big thing behind the pandemic is we've spent 2 decades on this wonderful technology, messenger RNA, and we can't get it through any of the regulatory authorities. We need a good excuse. So COVID was an excuse to get this through on the grounds it was a pandemic, when it couldn't be got through for cancer. And I know that because I sat in a scientific board of a messenger RNA company that was targeting cancer. And they couldn't get through. And it was then I learned enough to realize the whole project was doomed. But everybody seems to...
This was, when did you realize that, Gus?
When did I realize?
Yeah.
That I realized the project was doomed when I was speaking to people who really understood what the problems were, the need to stabilize with pseudouridine and everything.
Right.
And the inability to switch it off. Now, I previously worked on a gene therapy project, which actually it was quite successful and was commercialized, what have you. And it used a herpes virus as a gene therapy vector. And the beauty of that was that being a herpes virus, it had a gene in it that we could switch off using an antiviral. So if it got...
so you could switch off the production.
Put the antiviral and the whole thing would fall apart and disappear and go. That is what they should have had for messenger RNA technology.
Well, let me pause this and answer Said's question. Actually, Said, I do have videos where they do go over the data. In this one specifically, turn on my camera for you. They didn't go over, they didn't pull out the data on this one, but I'm going to be going over these a lot more often, specifically the ones with the data. I actually started with one of their most recent ones. They usually were hitting the data as soon as it came out. So, you know what I'm saying? It's as of late, it's just them catching up. But I'm going back through all the old videos that I've watched over the last 5 or 6 years, and I'm going to go through all of that. So yeah, again, you can look their names up as well and check them out. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get there. I just want to go in order. You know what I'm saying? I guess if you think it's too easy, we're just doing a watch video. You can, watch. You can come up if you want. There's no beef or smoke. But some of these things should definitely be talked about. And again, I appreciate your input. But you said you wanted to pull out some immunologists and epidemiologists and oncologists. I got y'all. Don't worry. There's a lot of people in the field known and accredited for their work and what they do. Award-winning immunologists and virologists out here who have been against this whole thing from the very beginning. But I'm going to go ahead and let them finish. I didn't drop that link. I'll drop the link.
Going to get it, I believe.
Yeah. So you realised that in the noughties or 2020 before the pandemic?
But I'm surprised that you don't know the studies. And again, I like that you're asking me for the source, but the fact that you don't know the source already lets me know that my video was correct. There's a cherry picking of information. to support a confirmation bias. I don't think you're reviewing both sides, which would have been dope. That would have been the way to actually quell vaccine hesitancy, to actually take your time going through that stuff and showing where it's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Which is what a pseudo killer should do. You know what I'm saying? If the stuff pseudo, sniff it out, you know, and expose it. You know, which reminds me, I have to go and watch my one professor who's actually debunking some of this stuff as well. Not specifically these two, but, you know, just so that way I'm not getting an echo chambers worth full of information. I don't want to do that. Shout out to y'all, though. I already know. I mean, I've already watched these. I watch these gentlemen on a regular basis. So I know the sources, but you don't know the sources. But I'm telling you to be patient. Just be patient. Stick around, man. I'm just warming the crowd up, baby. You feel me? This is what they do. They definitely love bringing out the sources. That's where it's really going to get serious.
That 9 years ago.
Right. Okay. So it's well pre-pandemic.
And that's when I left the scientific advisory board, along with others who came to the same conclusion.
Yeah. What was the experience like in the Senate? Did you enjoy it? Did they look after you? Did they give you nice cups of tea? Did they feed you nice sandwiches?
What being on the scientific board?
No, in the Senate, on your visit to the Senate.
Sorry,
Yeah. No. I'm just hoping the Americans looked after you.
No. You got some water if you're thirsty. That was it. That was it.
So you have to find your own way there. You have to find your own hotel.
Yeah, you had to do everything. For some reason or other, it goes down as corruption if they pay your expenses.
I was expecting you got full business class expenses.
But this is what's very interesting. There are people out there who are so keen for us to get the message across that I was contacted. You know, so-and-so will pay all your flights, so-and-so's arranged accommodation.
Wow.
It's incredible. It is incredible, the feeling out there, but it's very rich people who feel this has got to come out. And if you want to do something like this, these people have got funds. They'll pay for you to do this.
It really is reassuring, isn't it?
Yeah.
That really is. Yeah, that gives you a good feeling to know that there's people with power, even if it's just financial power, that can still do good in the world. They can use the resources for good rather than the self that we see from so many of our other leaders.
Mm-hmm. So I was very, very grateful that, and I met a couple of these people too, and it is incredible. They're very successful in everything they do, but they are now.
Do you suspect this is all mRNA vaccines, or do you think it's something which is specific to the COVID and the spike protein production?
It's a very good question. It is when we first analysed the spike protein, there were two things that came up apart from the fact it got all these inserts in. But the main thing was that 80% of it was homologous to human epitopes, which meant it should never even have been considered. Yet it became the gold standard. So I never found to work that. I did not pick then that it would likely to cause cancer. It's interesting. I did not pick that. But I said if you did have a cancer, it would actually fuel it because it causes marked activation, inflammation, and microclotting. All of the above will fuel a cancer if you already have it. It won't actually cause it, but it will fuel it. And what has happened with the messenger RNA is that we now know the messenger RNA insert into your DNA, replicate, and people say there's no evidence. Yes, there is. The last paper in the literature is 700 days. They can still find it after the thing. It's just been surpassed at the Boston meeting I was at. It was 3.5 years. They're still able to identify it. So it's there. And the thing about RNA is it inserts at random. You cannot control it. It's,
any part of the genome, it could just plop in next to oncosuppressor gene or something.
That's exactly what I believe explains some of the things we're seeing. Now, on the epidemiology front, we have papers, and you can see how important they are because they go out of their way to try and have them withdrawn, taken down, and outrageous reasons for them being withdrawn, and scientific nonsense. These are from the same clowns that basically thought you could model COVID on a computer.
With a mathematical equation that's completely detached from any form of empirical reality.
Exactly. So anyway, they are the same. We've seen it everywhere where they've looked. The people who say it doesn't exist, as it happened actually in the Senate, the head of ASCO said she represented 50,000 doctors and they don't see it. Well, we know why they don't see it, because they don't look and they don't ask, and they're not.
Yeah. We actually did a video on this yesterday. It's the only video I've made where I actually I wasn't acting, I genuinely started laughing halfway through the video. The preposterous replies of Dr. Julie Garlow. Unbelievable, laughable, so someone who's a fellow of this and a fellow of that and the other, and yet she didn't know the most basic schoolgirl biology, or appeared not to know, or maybe I suppose saying it's a very stressful occasion. Let's be gracious to her. She probably just forgot.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, you cannot say when you ask the real poignant question, Ron, tell us what's in the vaccine.
Yeah,
she couldn't answer that. You couldn't answer. It means anybody with even a O-level understanding of biology should be able to say, well, one of them is an adenovirus one, AstraZeneca, mainly discontinued, and the vast majority of the others are messenger RNA, for which there's a great deal of controversy as to whether it is any better than anything else. I mean, that's the very minimum answer I expect anybody to do. You couldn't even do that.
Yeah, and of course the Johnson & Johnson and the AstraZeneca were very similar vaccines. So basically you notice this turbo cancer, this hyperprogression. So you had two astute clinical observations. The first one about the perturbing of the T cells and the recurrence of dormant cancers that were in remission. And then these other, I hate the term, but hyper-progressive does describe it, doesn't it? And this includes breast, prostate, pancreas, lymphoma, gallbladder, glioma, and bladder cancers. And I personally have come across a few cases, terrible cases of acute myeloid leukemia as well.
Yes.
Terrible cases with death occurring within weeks. And again, is this T cell suppression mechanism, could that also account for the acute leukemias, do you think?
Well, it could, but I strongly suspect there's something else going on as well, especially with the marrow. I mean, I know people who's after the booster, they come out in really aggressive myeloma. And, some of them might have had it, they have a proclivity, perhaps, these people, and it's in the family, it's well controlled. And then something happens in that control, whether it be the T cell suppression or, and this is the big worry I have, is we had Aldiri, Wafik Aldiri, who's the absolute molecular expert on tumor suppression genes, tell us that the spike protein, if it's inserted anywhere near suppressor gene, it doesn't even have to bind it. It just has to be near. It can interfere with the signaling pathway whereby it suppresses neo-oncogenic events at the molecular level. And of course, the T cell can do it at the cellular level. So
right, yeah. So there's two things going on here. There's the T cell suppressing cancers that are already there. And if you, normally my cancer, my anti-cancer genes, as it were, are sort of working, all the tumor suppressor genes. Happily they're suppressing tumors, but if anything's near them in the genetic material, that can alter the function of the tumor suppressor genes. And if the tumor suppressor genes aren't suppressing the tumors can then come, including bone marrow malignancies.
But basically any tumor at any site. When I first saw the Japanese data, I'll be honest with you, I was horrified because I realized that things were far worse than I feared, because the tumours were not confined to those we know are controlled by T-cell suppression. So they weren't just melanomas and lymphomas.
Right.
With the entire spectrum, plus rare tumours, you don't expect to see. We are now seeing an enormous number of rare tumours.
For example.
Tumours of the, say, endocrine system and carotid,
salivary glands.
Yes, I mean, ones which are rare, but they're suddenly coming. They came out on that.
Now, if you missed my presentation that I did on the UNC-West double standard scientific, what was it called? Scientific double standard something. But yeah, I go over what they say is causing this. Where is it at? Yeah, they're finding continuous unintended manufacturing of the spike protein right now to 3 years after the vaccine. And it's, you know what I'm saying? They have their suspicions as to what they think are causing it. I'm just here presenting this information because I feel like it's being gatekept from you guys. But yeah, peer-reviewed research shows this to be true. Their expectation was for it to stay in your body only 24 to 48 hours. Yeah, and these mechanisms, are causing a host of problems for a lot of people. Let's get into it. And if you're somebody affected by this, you know what I'm saying, there's a hotline that you should call. You know what, I'm gonna get a commercial from them and make sure I start running it when I do this. Go ahead, Oli, you came off mute.
Yep, I was just gonna say, Tahuti said rare tumors from the mRNA vaccine. Yes, that's what they're saying, that these are side effects from that spike protein that's spiking and causing tumors. And I mean, and that's
I didn't hear it in that words. Let's watch how we say it. Because, but yeah, I think I think that they actually described it getting around cancer cells that already exist. And I don't know. I think I heard something different though. I don't think that's exactly what I heard.
Got you. What I heard was them saying those spike proteins, because it's RNA and mRNA is a messenger gene. It actually edits. It can edit genes. It can turn on things, turn off things, and so those dormant cancer cells are activated due to this and causes the spike protein. That's one of the reasons that the protein spike. But you can do a little bit more research and find it.
And you got a light echo too.
Gotcha.
And what else was I about to say? Yeah, I think I specifically heard them say that this does not cause cancer, but it can boost or something like that, to that effect. I shouldn't paraphrase this, but you can definitely rewind that and play that. And yeah, just so if you missed my presentation that I did on UNC-West, you can go ahead and check this out where I go over all of this. Yeah, because I think these are the conversations that need to be had, and people are refusing to talk about them with you, and they rather just insult you. But Titans Debate League, baby, come on over here, share your thoughts. Hit that thumbs up so you get a notification every time we go live. And if you really want to support us, share it to a friend. Hit that share button for the free 99. You can put this information on somebody's mind. Appreciate y'all. And hit that bell so you get a notification every time we go live. Let's get it back to these two
on that list. But put it in perspective. There are an enormous number of lung, breast, colorectal, pancreatic, bile, ovarian. I mean, the whole lot. And I don't believe that can be explained just by T cell.
No, so there's several responses going on here. So, because I mean, we don't want to talk.
And I got to pause it again and show my presentation because I want to show why that's so scary. One, I showed you how this is staying in the body way longer than intended, years. Okay. Two, the lipid nanoparticles distributed systemically rather than remaining at the injection site. So, my bad, I stuttered one time. That's so hard to get out. Yeah, the lipid nanoparticles distributed systemically rather than remaining at the injection site. So the assumption was that it was going to stay over here on the left where you see the blue circle. You see, I got it real easy for y'all. But the reality was that it breaches the local tissue and it went all over the body. So your heart, your spleen, your adrenal glands, your liver, they now see spike protein generation occurring. So that's what the people who took have to deal with right now. Or who took it have to deal with, I should say. Oh, I'm not showing my presentation. Okay. Let me go ahead and share this screen. Yeah. Let me go back. This is where I was. First, I showed you how it's staying in your body way longer than intended. Right? Then we're over here. You feel me? And yeah, it's spreading to all your vital organs. And they're seeing spike protein generation across the body. So, you know, these are conversations it's hard to have with some people. You know, it's like when you try to talk about stuff like this, all they care about is trying to give you a vaccine education starting from 1880. Like, bro, I know how vaccines work. I also know how this vaccine works, and it doesn't work the same. This is an mRNA. It's the first of its kind. You know, and you see this episode ain't got nothing to do with no political figure. You know, and this attacked everybody, apparently, allegedly. I'll leave it at that, man. Okay, I just wanted y'all to have a visual as to what's going on and if it's going to be affecting things and cancers in different places where it could be affecting them. It's getting kind of scary. It's getting real scary. And this slide showed why when somebody says you're running around full body pumping nanoparticles, they're not being facetious. They're not exaggerating. They're not being over the top. It sounds like something out of a comic book. And you might think of those little mechanical bugs that you see on the Matrix and stuff like that. That's what I think of when I hear nanoparticles. I don't know what. But yeah. It wasn't supposed to do that. Okay, let's get into it. Back to Professor Angus and Dr. John Campbell. Definitely brought the immunologist out.
Of that background health and that age, which is yeah, it's quite tragic if we're seeing a recurrence in all of these common cancers and more new unusual cancers, which could easily get missed. I mean, you know, GPs, for example, won't have, you know, how many GPs have got experience of parotid salivary gland cancers? Well, probably not very many. I mean, I can't think I've seen a case. Obviously, you as an oncologist.
This is what I mean by rare cancer. I mean, I would say I would call rare cancers are the ones that your jobbing oncologist only sees very rarely.
Yes.
And now this appears to be that they're more common. But then the cancer incidence is more common. And this is one, you know, which is incredible, going back to the Senate, where these people denied there was any increase in cancer. And Ron Johnson, well prepared, has to have a flip chart The show. How can you not be aware of this? And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who don't want to know. It's like they've been instructed, nothing to see here. And that is not the job of a scientist. It's not the job of a doctor who wants to do the best for the patient.
Yeah, I see no ships. There's nothing there. Well, try your other eye.
And I do I know a lot of them know, but they're very worried about speaking out.
I know.
I've had more than one patient who has succumbed to lymphoma. They're not my patients, but I know them. And I have said, have you asked your oncologist what is likely to be the cause? Two of them told me with different oncologists, and they said, oh, yes. They said it's almost certainly as a result of the COVID booster because they're seeing so many similar cases. So why has it not been stopped?
Yeah.
Can you see this? I cannot believe people in a position of power. If I was the chief medical officer and I heard of one or two cases like that, I would be immediately down the MHRA and realize they've been sitting on thousands of yellow cards, and I would immediately call a halt to it, because that's what they do with a drug that causes sudden unexpected deformity, like thalidomide, although it took them a long time to do that. But that is what they're meant to do, is to prevent things getting worse. It's not to speculate that this is yet another conspiracy theory and we'll let the next government deal with it. I mean, it's just unbelievable in their attitude.
I mean, you would think it would be uncomfortable sitting on 48,000 yellow cards reporting AstraZeneca.
And it must
be all of which were red flags.
And how can you be chief medical officer or chief scientific officer and be aware that your GPs are pumping in to the population boosters every 6 months, knowing that it increases the death rate, unless that is the plan?
It really is. It's really hard to explain, isn't it? It's just.
Yeah, it really is. You have to actually consider that there's clearly no medical or scientific rationale for defending this. There's absolutely zero. So are you going along with an intention to reduce the pension bill or something along those lines? I mean, you have to ask.
I mean, the very best you can say is some bizarre, negligent groupthink.
It is.
And and we could say a lot worse.
Hey, shout out to, y'all I ain't say it. They said it. You feel me? I don't know, But these are conversations that people won't even have with you. They'll call you pseudo. I don't know why. Like, it ain't immunologists, virologists out here dropping this on a regular basis. It's just, I don't know. That's why I say people got to be cherry picking or blind to act like the studies he's starting out. How don't you know about any of this? How did A1 beat you to the punch? But nonetheless, you know what I'm saying? It's not about who came out with it first. It's about who can use this information to, to their advantage. I don't know. Y'all got to make the decision whether you want to take the jibby jab. I'm not advocating for it, and I'm not telling nobody not to take it. But at least you can make an informed decision. Fully informed. Not, everybody dancing in the ad to the music, and the list of side effects is worse than the stuff that they was trying to cure. You know what I'm saying? And I know that, this is a little bit different, but it's a shitty situation.
Ministry of Truth. It really. I've just been going over some more of. I mean, this is now reading like a prophecy.
That book.
It really is uncanny.
It is uncanny. And do you know what I found really remarkable in that book? Just because I think it encapsulates it.
Yeah.
He suddenly realized he's imprisoned for not thinking the right thing. And he's in prison with lots of multiple murderers, rapists and everything. And when the prison gets overcrowded, they let them out. Not him for his thoughts. How similar is that to Starmer?
That's ringing a vague bell, isn't it? Or more than a vague bell. This is exactly what they did, isn't it? After the Southport riots, it's exactly what they did.
Yeah, they let known murderers and rapists out to make room for people who had naughty thoughts.
Well, wrong thought. You have to think of the right thoughts. I mean, I mean that was published in 1948, and it's uncannily prophetic. It really is uncannily prophetic. Yeah. So.
If you're talking A1, you on mute.
Oh, I was saying I got to get that book. Yeah,
I was looking.
Yeah, that echo crazy work. But yeah, I got to get that book. I ain't hip to that one. I ain't read that. I'm about to order that ASAP right now.
I was just looking for my George Orwell book that I got. That's am I still echoing?
Nope.
But he got a book 1984 that's kind of prophetic too, of George Orwell. Let me look for it.
Talking of prophecies, you noticed that 80% of the biochemistry of the molecular architecture of the spike protein was the same as human tissues.
Right, yes. Let me just put it in perspective. I didn't notice this, but my colleague, Birger Sorensen, who's a biophysicist with whom I was working on HIV vaccines, who said that we both had come to the same conclusion. And that conclusion is that you could only conclude at the time that Dr. Fauci was either incredibly stupid or the last thing he wanted was a HIV vaccine, because we said you never use the whole envelope for a vaccine. It's just too many antigens. No human would cope with that for protection. You have to select a very few.
And I want y'all to expect a podcast from me on how Dr. Fauci messed up the HIV joint. And, you know, there was a time when people hated Fauci. They would boo him in the streets. I don't know what's going on today. He's he's always been horrible. But nonetheless, I digress until I bring those sources up to show you why. Back to these two.
Boost the T cell response.
Well, you'd have to be making 1,000 different antibodies or something, wouldn't you?
Yes. So, and Fauci did that again and again, about 3 major iterations, worldwide, big randomized studies. Not one of them came to fruition because they were all stopped because the vaccine caused more HIV infection than the placebo arm. And so they killed it before it was significant in every single case. And he and the Gates Foundation turned down our approaches for support well over 20 years. We've applied 3 times with lots of evidence, and all they said, it's a very good plan B, but we don't need one. I mean, so I suddenly realized, you know, what we were dealing with. So to get back to
the antiretroviral drugs were quite expensive, weren't they?
Yeah, but get back to your question about the 80%. So he'd already worked out that this spike protein was very much like HIV. The last thing he wanted was all of it. So he wanted to analyze the core bits. And one of the things of doing this, and this is just routine, he put it through a thing called blast analysis. So he did that. I didn't do it, but I'm switched on enough to understand. You know, I get lots of information, what it means. That's my main ability, actually dealing with tiny detail of an electron here or there. That's not me. But I realized,
nor than me.
I said, this is frightening. I've never seen anything so highly.
Well, what's the blast analysis, Chris? Just unpack that.
Well, basically, it's putting it through a big computer program where you just throw it at lots of sequences to see if there's any significant.
Oh, I see. Looking for the matches. It's a bit like playing Snap.
We're not putting it up there and shooting it with a gun, but
yeah.
So
it's a bit like that molecule in your pancreas. It's a bit like that molecule in your kidney. It's a bit like that molecule in your brain.
Put it through a program that literally does a blast and it came back and said, "Hey, it's 79%." So I rounded it up to 80. 79% of this is homologous to known human epitopes. You know, basically, if you were to ask AI with this, it would say, "Do not use this as a vaccine. You will get every autoimmune disease under the sun." And that's exactly
so you're guaranteed autoimmunity, basically.
Yeah, guaranteed autoimmunity. And indeed, even on the VAERS website.
And I was saying how it attacks those adrenal glands in my episode I did on Unc West. If you missed that presentation, go ahead and check that out. Right here on this slide. Yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy work. Yeah, go check that presentation out. The Unc West. What was the title? Epistemic Double Standards and Scientific something? I don't know. I forgot. I did it a couple days ago. Go check that out, man. Check that presentation out before I make it members only.
There's 131 autoimmune diseases listed as side effects to the vaccine, and that's about as many as there are.
Yeah. So these spike proteins are so similar to many human tissues. When the immune system makes antibodies to the spike protein, it has cross-reactivity with many human proteins.
Yes, indeed.
And beats them up because it thinks they're foreign.
I mean, and it does do the entire spectrum, which is why they've been trying to cover it up and say, "Oh, these are extremely rare."
Right.
If you actually add all the 131 autoimmune diseases that have been linked to the vaccine into one, I think it would come to around a sixth or a seventh of everybody. They might have severe variants or just mild variants, very mild.
Yeah.
But it is a flag saying, no, do not proceed. We cannot deal with that. And the other thing that really annoys me with the, I was going to say simpletons that run our health service is not
fair comment.
with that. Because how can they say you've got to get the vaccine to save the health service? Well, I personally know people who have been hospitalized for months, who are now on autoimmune treatment
Mm.
requiring anti-TNF weekly.
Sophisticated treatments.
The knock-on effect of the costs on the NHS of this is horrendous. And that's before we come to any link with cancer. You've got to think the autoimmune diseases and the cardiovascular thing. People who've been in hospital for months because of strokes induced by the AstraZeneca. I mean, that's well documented.
Massive nursing and medical care for years.
Yeah, and myocarditis in the young people. And everyone's saying, well, it's rare and it's mild. Mild myocarditis is like mild pregnancy or mild death.
Mild forgetting your parachute when you fall out of an aeroplane.
Yeah, I mean, it's there, and we can still identify it on MRI in these young people who had it. You know, months and months later.
And you know, the idea that you've now got essentially a potential ectopic electrical foci in the myocardium.
Yeah,
means that surely it's got to mean that atrial or ventricular fibrillation is a much more likely event. Well, especially if the myocardium was challenged by illness or toxins or hypoxia. Or
I bump into people in my village regularly who have seen me with you and heard about what have you, saying that, you know, that one, they really like listening to the truth, but two, they say, you know, ever since I had that vaccine, I've been, I went into unbelievable tachycardia. And they kind of treated that, but I'm still in atrial fibrillation, and I'm no longer as fit as I used to be. If I do exert myself, then the tachycardia comes back. And that is all due to the vaccine. But
exertional tachycardia,
you know, the GP says, well, it might be related, but, you know, it's only mild, but you must have the booster because that will protect you. I mean, and they've conditioned people into having a vaccine, getting ill with something dreadful, and the patient comes to the conclusion thank God I had the vaccine, otherwise I could have died from this.
Yeah, could have been.
I actually had a colleague tell me that to my face. And it was like, I just needed to get 1984 out. I said, have you read this? What is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wild game they playing. What I'm gonna do is drop the link. Let's keep it clean, folks. Let's not talk too crazy or too greasy about the science or anything, and let's not give any science advice when you come up here, or medical advice. Don't tell people what to do with their bodies, but you are welcome to come comment on your own decisions that you made personally and all of that, and why you came to those conclusions. That link is in the chat. I'm not here for a long time, so use it. This one about to be quick today.
See that? Herc said, he said it's like a mild death or a mild pregnancy.
That was crazy.
Crazy, man.
Yeah. So here, immunologists actually go over the science, and it's given a different ring. You know what I'm saying? Amongst all the stuff that I showed you, I'm about to go through the videos where they break down the science. I'm just gonna give it to y'all slow, man. I got a lot of different people doing this right now. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people speaking out against this. So, we gonna watch, and I'm gonna let y'all be the judge. That's how we gonna do it. I'm just here to bring the information, man. We don't gatekeep the science over here. So that's what we not gonna do. Let me pull up one more, man. Let me pull up one more. I want to hear where he go over this hearing. Let's go over this hearing with Buddy. Okay, y'all ready for this, man? We're going to stay with the same people, so that way I keep everything in order. When I bring out different people, I want to make sure they name in the title. So, yeah. So y'all can find these people, man. Watch them in your free time.
Warm welcome to this talk. Now, I want to bring things to you that are not being reported on mainstream media. Now, last night I spent the evening watching this from the American Senate, Homeland Security and Government Affairs, plausible mechanisms of COVID-19 injections causing cancer, and attacks on scientific publications and research. So this appears to be two topics: COVID vaccines causing cancer and attacks on research. But as we'll see if we watch these videos, and I'm hoping to do a few videos on this, that these are very, very closely linked, that the predominant narrative is being suppressing and even sabotaging scientific information. That's what you'll have to decide if these hearings are saying that. I believe they are, and it really couldn't be more serious for science as well as for this particular topic.
And I want to say something to Hurt too while you're in the chat. No, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. We got a face-off coming up. I'm gonna save it. That's a totally different topic. Shout out Hurt. That's what I wanted to say, and I appreciate everything you do, baby. Let's go.
Hey,
Of course.
I like that assessment that you made. That was a nice assessment. Y'all don't do that here.
Yeah, you're right.
Possible mechanisms of COVID-19 injections causing cancer. And we will be hearing from some of the leading doctors literally in the world on this. Now, go to this site. I've given you the link, of course. You can listen to the full hearing here just by pressing that video. It lasts for 3 hours and 21 minutes, but you don't have to watch it all, but it's all there. And then you can download testimonies from world-leading doctors such as Professor Angus Dalgleish, Dr. El Deary, Dr. Sabine Hassan, Dr. Mosseret, Dr. Asim Malhotra, and there's some other contributors there as well, all available in full text. So very good the way that the American Senate do this. You've got the full thing there already. Now, Senator Johnson introduces this, and he'd been talking to Dr. Sabine Hassan, who's been on this program, of course, who was, at the time, Senator Johnson was researching early treatments of COVID and vaccine harms way back in 2021. And he started communicating with Dr. Sabine Hassan. We did a full video on her with her about the microbiome. She's got a very strong background in carrying out clinical trials, gastroenterologist and world expert in the microbiome. And Dr. Hassan, according to this report, reported to Senator Johnson that even though she was doing FDA-sponsored research, this research was being sabotaged. This is scientific medical research, and the claim here is it's being sabotaged, which is a pretty strong word, I think you'd agree. Dr. El Deary, who we can hear from as well, he's also on the video. Senator Johnson used the term trolls, which is probably quite minor for the attacks he's endured. Bad for science. Why are these people being attacked? Why is research being sabotaged? A very, very serious matter indeed. Now, Senator Johnson, in his opening statement, he talks about people don't know the extent to which vaccines are causing harm. And part of those harms there, the potential cancer-causing harms and the plausible cancer-causing mechanisms are discussed in detail in this particular video. But generally, people don't know because this is not well reported in mainstream media. And it turns out the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, according to Senator Johnson, has hid safety signals, including sudden death. I do hope that's not true, but this is what he seems to be saying, that the FDA has hidden safety signals, including sudden death. The mass media and TV apparently were allowed to run ads in the United States since 1977. And since then, Senator Johnson is saying that basically the media has been captured by vested interests, such as Big Pharma. Now, he did mention previous vaccines that were pulled after 25 to 30 deaths. Swine flu vaccine, he mentioned, for example, was pulled after some cases of Guillain-Barré syndrome and 25 to 30 deaths. And Senator Johnson here says globally that there's 39,000 plus deaths so far attributed to the COVID vaccine. So there's the difference.
Whoa, that's crazy. That's a big drastic number. Let me rewind that, man. That's crazy work.
Plus deaths so far attributed to the COVID Guillain-Barré syndrome and 25 to 30 deaths. And Senator Johnson here says globally that there's 39,000 plus deaths so far attributed to the COVID vaccine. So there's the difference. Pre-1997, before media was captured, 25 to 30 deaths caused the vaccine to be pulled. Stop use. 39,000 plus COVID vaccine 19 deaths, according to Senator Johnson's claims, and it's still being used. What is going on here? Why is this message not getting through in mainstream media? Since post-1997, when Big Pharma was allowed to start advertising in the United States, the safe and effective narrative has been pushed extensively, and adverse effects, of course, are rare and mild. How many times have you heard that one? Oh, don't worry about them. They're very rare and they're very mild. Personally, I wouldn't call sudden death mild, but, you know, it depends on your interpretation, I suppose. Big Pharma spends lavishly, he's saying, funding members of what he calls the COVID cartel. Now, I couldn't report on this if it wasn't in the US Senate, but because it's in the US Senate, I can report on it. This is what they appear to be saying. I'm going to play the whole introduction from Senator Johnson after this, so watch it and make sure I'm not misinterpreting the senator. But this is my understanding of what he says. funding members of the COVID cartel, being funded by vested interest. And Big Pharma, possibly, who knows, possibly, he was saying, basically, maybe funding individuals who then trot off and act as the trolls. In England, we might say these are the Rottweilers that go and do the sort of dirty work. Alternative cheap drugs during COVID, we all know these, ivermectin, zinc, hydroxychloroquine, actively sabotaged. Data was actively sabotaged, according to Senator Johnson. Data suppressed. Why on earth would anyone want to sabotage drugs which we believe, or some of the best doctors believe, to be effective? Instead, gene therapies were promoted. So drugs which could have cured or certainly helped people significantly with COVID, according to this, suppressed, sabotaged in favor of gene therapies who make a lot of money and are liability free. And there's hard work still going on to suppress vaccine harms and injuries from various interested parties. Safety studies prior to the release of vaccines, according to Senator Johnson, were not done. This is shocking. Cardiovascular system, heart and blood vessels toxicity, not necessarily fully done. Central nervous system toxicity is on his list. Other organ toxicity, damage to vital organs. Blood toxicity, not done. Cardiogenicity studies, not done. And he actually thinks that all of these are now proved, albeit to varying degrees. That's what you have to decide as you watch. Lies are told, lies have been told, and things have been ignored. This has resulted in a greatly reduced trust in mainstream media and institutions. So I don't pay my BBC license anymore. I simply don't trust the level of reporting and the plus the bias. I don't like the bias anyway. But apart from that, I think we can agree that most people would agree there's a generalized reduced trust in what we are told by the mainstream media and in our institutions and indeed in some of our professions in general.
Oli, where do you think that distrust comes from?
You said, what do I think about what?
Where the distrust comes from?
Man, for me, the distrust just comes from the science that was done and how quick they put the vaccine out and then tell you that it's safe without proper studies, and the fast track to getting the mRNA technology out there. And so just not, for me, it's just not knowing exactly what we was up against. What you think?
I mean, I just think it stems back to a lot of things. It's not one specific thing. What you said, pretty much. And we know, I don't know, it's almost like innate, isn't it? Well, I don't trust these motherfuckers. They never had nothing good for us, man. So I don't know. I digress, though. Remember, they said they wanted black people to take it first. That made me not trust them. I said, "Oh yeah, y'all lied.
We always take
Y'all
it first.
motherfucking lied. Y'all want black people to take it first. Oh, that means you don't trust it."
And then you like, take what first?
Remember I showed that on the Unc West episode, Bill Gates and Melina Gates promoting.
You showed that clip, didn't you? Yep.
Yeah.
Sure did. Go back and watch that if y'all missed that first episode about this, man. It's very enlightening.
Yeah. I was cooking on that Unc West episode. I had to pop out. I pop out from time to time, do my thing. Let's get back to into this. You know what I'm saying? I just had to make sure we added some context and talked about something so that way it's all fair use, baby. Shout out Dr. John Campbell, man. Go give this guy a subscribe and a follow and check him out. That link is in the chat.
Before we need a public.
What's Hootie say?
Tahuti say the distrust comes from the historical origin of modern medicine and healthcare, always colluding with private interests.
That's a good answer.
Reckoning. We need a kind of truth and reconciliation committee. I suppose in theological language, this means we need confession and repentance. This needs to be brought into the public so that all this covert, hidden agenda and campaigning that's done covertly, often with large sums of money involved, is brought to the surface and we can discuss this open. Senator Johnson concludes his introduction by saying human knowledge is amazing, but there's many things we don't know. So we need to move forward with humility. And I could not agree more. Now, that's not my interpretation of what he said. Watch it for yourself and see if you agree. And then we'll go on and look at some of the individuals that gave expert testimony, which is completely, in my view, convincing from some of the best doctors in the world, 3 of whom at least we've interviewed on this channel, I'm pleased to say. Over to Senator Johnson now.
Good afternoon. This hearing is called to order. Just brief explanation of how this hearing came about. I met Dr. Sabine Hazen in October of
and see, real quick, that's why I like Dr. John Campbell and his channel. And again, I've been watching him since this pandemic started. So I always felt like I was a little bit ahead of the game, and I couldn't get people to talk about the information. But yeah, he interviewed like 3 of the people on the list already. Like he always has people come on who actually work on this, so who are doing the studies and stuff like that. So his channel, I think it's his channel fly. His channel lit to me. I don't care what nobody else say, but I like to go to the experts, you know. Who else? You know, Cedric is dope. He explains vaccines very well, but I'm not gonna take anything he says as medical advice. You know, these people are working on the stuff. So, but nonetheless, you know.
2021, during really the height of COVID, and really related to all the work I was doing in terms of early treatment, and then the COVID injection injured, that type of thing. And I'm not quite sure how you got on my radar screen, but we struck up a good texting relationship. And immediately Dr. Hazen made me aware of how her research, which was conducted with, supported by, guided by, overseen by the FDA, was being sabotaged. And with all the hearings and events I had done, I was trying to figure out some way of how can we hold a hearing on this, because this is really bad for science to have research sabotaged. End of last year, Dr. Hazen introduced me to Dr. Aldiri, who probably a poster child for being tormented by, I'll call them trolls, into science. And so we put together this hearing. It's kind of predicated on Dr. Aldiri's work that I think prompted all the attacks. That's why I'm holding this hearing. So let me get into my opening statement. I want to thank all the witnesses. I know this is a real imposition, take a lot of time and effort and expense to get here. But today's hearing is titled Plausible Mechanisms of COVID-19 Injections Causing Cancer and Attacks on Scientific Publications and Research. Although it may seem these are 2 unrelated topics, discussing them together would help explain why such a large percentage of the public remains unaware of the serious adverse events caused by the COVID mRNA injections. In April, the subcommittee held a hearing and released a report exposing how top FDA officials decided to use a safety surveillance algorithm that they knew would, and in fact did, hide safety signals on extremely serious adverse events, including sudden death. This was a bombshell revelation that unfortunately was dismissed by this subcommittee's ranking member and completely ignored by the legacy media. Since 1997, when the Clinton administration made America only the second nation on earth to allow mass media advertising on pharmaceutical products, Big Pharma has spent billions on TV ads to capture the media and, as a result, the narrative. Prior to 1997, there was serious journalism covering suspected vaccine injuries. In 1997, Mike Wallace reported on CBS's 60 Minutes about swine flu vaccine injuries. By the way, they pulled the swine flu vaccine after about 25 to 30 deaths and 400 to 500 cases of Guillain-Barré disease. They pulled it. 25 to 30 deaths. We have over 39,000 deaths right now associated with the COVID injection worldwide from the VAERS vaccine, but I'll move on. In 1982, WRC-TV's Leah Thompson reported on the findings of their more than year-long investigation into the safety and effectiveness of the pertussis component of the DPT vaccine. In 1985, Phil Donahue discussed both the swine flu and DPT vaccines and related injuries during his hour-long show. Since 1997, there have been a few reports on hepatitis B, MMR, HPV vaccine safety, but the quote, safe and effective, unquote, mantra, combined with the narrative that adverse effects are, quote, rare and generally mild, unquote, has overwhelmed any coverage of the harms. Legacy media is not the only American institution that has been captured and controlled. Big Pharma also hires and finances.
Well, you're most welcome to this talk. Now, in this video, we'll be giving evidence of the systemic distribution of lipid nanoparticles and that it generates spike protein in a range of tissues. Now, this is from this paper here. Detection of vaccine-derived spike protein associated with immune cell inflammation in the heart and the liver. In other words, there's been detection of vaccine-derived spike protein. And the presence of the immune cells means there's inflammation in the heart and the liver. And this is by an internationally renowned team of scientists. And we noticed that friends of the channel, Dr. Polykritis and Professor Robert Clancy, are co-authors, some of the co-authors in this paper. So we know that the systemic distribution of the lipid nanoparticles, when we were told it would stay in the deltoid, it doesn't. It goes pretty well everywhere as far as we know, circulating in the blood. And we know that the lipid nanoparticles can attach to the membrane of basically, probably, any cell in the body, but certainly the ovaries, the testes, the brain, the heart, the kidneys, the liver. You know, these important places, the spike protein can get into these cells because of the nature of the lipid nanoparticle carrying it through the cell membrane.
And he's going to be going over this paper by cells. But if you missed any of this and want a simpler breakdown, you can go watch the podcast I did on Unc West and his special pleading and scientific double standards. I break all of this down in there. So, yeah, check it out. And here we go.
So for sure, in this video, we'll be giving evidence that happens in the heart and liver, but we know happens all over. And in this video, we'll be seeing evidence of the myocarditis and the hepatitis, the inflammation of the heart and the liver. We'll give evidence that there's autoimmune processes going on causing inflammation and tissue damage. Sadly, the slides we're going to see on this video are from people that are no longer with us, the post-mortem findings. And these problems will apply to all of the genetic vaccines, because this is the body attacking it's attacking its own tissues, because its tissues become contaminated with foreign protein. And the immune system sees this foreign protein. In the case of the COVID vaccines, it's a spike protein that's a foreign protein, and the body's immune system does its job and tries to destroy these cells, thereby destroying a lot of body cells with it, causing the inflammation and the tissue damage. And it's important to know that if there's any inflammation in the heart, for example, that can cause what you call a an electrical ectopic focus. So what that means basically is that there's an area of the heart muscle that is behaving electrically in an improper way, in an unbalanced way, because the heart works on electricity and it contracts with electrical stimulation, the depolarization of the across the cell membranes. So it's basically an electrical activity. Of course, that's supposed to generate what we call sinus rhythm, and that comes from way up in the atria, the sinoatrial node going down through the conducting pathways. But suppose in the bottom part of the heart, in the ventricles, for example, that there's an area of cells that aren't working properly, they could start generating lots and lots of electrical currents, just sending off lots and lots and lots of impulses to the ventricular heart muscle, to the ventricular myocardium. And that could happen a couple of hundred times a minute. And the ventricle tries to respond to that, but it can't. So instead of contracting rhythmically, because it's trying to respond to this electrical ectopic focus, it just flutters, it just fibrillates. And that's what we call ventricular fibrillation. That's a cardiac arrest, and the person will die 3 minutes after that starts. So this is massively important. What evidence are we going to give? Well, we're going to give evidence in this video from histopathology, from looking at the tissues through microscope slides. We'll see that the immune cells are recruited to the area, and this is what the inflammation is. These immune cells are coming to the area, releasing inflammatory cytokines, causing inflammation, killing some of the local tissue cells, and terrifyingly, in the case of the heart, generating abnormal electrical currents, which can cause cardiac arrests. And we'll also see that this is definitely from the vaccine. Now, how do we know it's not from natural infection? Well, these histopathological techniques are so clever. The pathologist that did them, what he did was he had a stain for spike protein and a stain for nucleocapsid protein. Now, the nucleocapsid protein is another protein that you find in the SARS coronavirus 2. So if it's natural infection, you're going to get a range of SARS coronavirus 2 proteins like spike protein and nucleocapsid protein. You'll get both. But if you only get spike protein and no nucleocapsid protein, the spike has come from, that means the spike has come from the vaccine and not from the natural infection. So we know that both of these cases that we're going to look at, the slides from the myocarditis and the slides from the hepatitis, are caused by the vaccine, not caused by natural infection. So fascinating video, quite scientific. Let's look at the simplified graphic first, and then we'll look at the histopathology in more detail for those that want to hang around. If you don't want to watch the whole video, basically we now know that the spike protein is produced in the myocardium and in the liver, causing myocarditis and hepatitis, and in many other organs as well. But this paper is specific to the heart and the liver, and that this is a reason to stop taking these vaccines, and that all the other mRNA or viral vector vaccines, there's no reason to assume they won't do the same thing, because they're both going to express foreign proteins on the surface of our own cells, which are then going to be attacked by the immune system. So we need a moratorium on the viral vector vaccines and the mRNA vaccines until this problem can be solved, in my view. But watch the evidence for yourself. You decide for yourself. So let's start off with a graphic which is explaining the process, first of all. Absolutely fascinating. And the graphic is from this, the graphics we're going to use are from this paper here. So the first one here. So first of all, let's look at the graphic that's describing this in principle, that's describing the cytological, histopathological features. And then we'll look at the slides which actually show the evidence. So let's start off up here with A. So if we look at A, what we have here is we have in yellow here, we have the lipid nanoparticles in yellow. And inside the lipid nanoparticles here, we've got the messenger ribonucleic acid. And the lipid nanoparticle combines with the cell wall, and some of it's taken into the cell, and we end up with this mRNA inside the body's own cells. And in the case of the heart, this would be the myocytes, the myocardial cells. So we imagine that this is in the heart. Then we see this is a heart. So these would all these grey cells here would be individual heart cells. Here we're seeing one blown up. And then the genetic protein making apparatus inside the heart cell here, it actually uses the information from the mRNA, and it makes the spike protein. So what we see in red here, we have whole spike protein. So this is whole spike protein. And this spike protein is made in the absence of nuclear capsid protein, and we see it there quite clearly. And it adheres to the cell surface membrane. And this is the problem, you see. The immune system recognizes this and will destroy the whole cell. So that's one way it's expressed. The next way is a bit more complicated, but what happens is the protein is also degraded here, and we end up with little bits of spike protein there. And that's served up on like a silver platter sort of thing, a serving plate that the immune system recognizes. It's called major histocompatibility complex 1. Don't worry about that. But the point is that we get the spike protein, whole spike protein there, bits of spike protein there, and both of those are recognized by the immune system. So in other words, the viral material, the viral RNA starts inside the cell, but then it's expressed outside the cell coat so it can be seen by the immune system. That's good normally, because it means the viral infected cells will be killed to stop the propagation of the virus, but it's bad in this case because sadly it means the body's own cells are going to be killed and there's going to be inflammatory processes. So that's what's happening there.
You know, and it sucks that stuff like this is happening, you know, and I see the people in the comments trolling, you know. I'm going to ignore it. I'm always going to ignore y'all because it's cool, you know. You telling me he's a nurse, you know what I'm saying? Cool, and I'm just a shop owner, and these are all facts. So, you know, I'm still bringing this information to you the same way he's bringing this information to you. But at least he's going over the science. Again, he has the professionals who issue these papers come on his show, so you can go watch the podcast, or you can just wait till I drop episodes, you know, because I definitely am going to keep them coming, since it seems to be bothering people who want to have cognitive dissonance to the other information that's out there, you know. And it's, you know, I don't know. Said asks to say let's see the studies. Where did Said go? He's calling bullshit. I don't know why he's calling bullshit. Like, how doesn't he know about this stuff? That's the crazy thing. But these are supposed to be the science guys. And it's hard to even have conversations about this type of science with them because they want to act like it doesn't exist. So it's very problematic. And that's why I chose to just do it on here on my own thing and not even really go the route of trying to approach them about it. But, you know, it's cool. You know, maybe we could set up the debate or something, man.
Carry on looking a bit more. So we see that expressed. Now, what we do now is we go on to point B. So point B is down here. So now we see that these cells, have been infected here. So these are the infected cells. And we see that they're expressing spike protein. So the genetic material has got into the cell. It's, if you like, conned or manipulated or forced the body's cell to make this foreign protein. And that's now on the surface of the cells here. Now, this is recognized by the B cells, the B lymphocytes. Now, these B cells, what they do is they produce the antibodies. So they'll produce the antibodies. The antibodies can then fasten onto these spike proteins. That's a process in immunity that's called opsonization. But what that basically means is the combination of the spike protein and the antibody that's produced by the B cell will label this for autoimmune destruction. So it's labeling the cell for destruction. So that's recognized by the B cell. The B cell produces the antibodies. Also, these cell fragments here, these little cell fragments, that little bit there, just small viral fragments, actually not cell fragments, viral fragments. So these are fragments of the, basically fragments of the spike protein. that'll be recognized in a complicated biochemical way. It's presented on this platter, this MHC, major histocompatibility complex 1. It's presented there, and that is what educates and stimulates the CD8 cells. Now, these are the lymphocytes here that are the killer cells. So the CD8 cells are the cells that actually do the killing. These are the nasty ones, the killer cells. So these killer cells, once they have been stimulated to recognize the spike protein, next time they see the spike protein, they'll kill the cell. They're cytotoxic killer cells. That's what they do. They're killer lymphocytes. They kill cells. And now they're going to kill cells which are labeled with the part of the spike protein. So any cell that's labeled with this part of the spike protein in future will be killed by these CD8 cells because it's been sensitized. So we see two ways that the immune system is stimulated, or indeed overstimulated by this process. Now, the next one is D. Now, what we see here, this cell here has actually been destroyed. This cell here has actually been destroyed by the immune system, or it's committed suicide because it's infected with the virus. So if it commits suicide, it's called apoptosis. If it's eaten by the immune system, that's called phagocytosis. So either way, this cell's been eaten or destroyed, and we've got this cell all in bits. But we see that this cell, as well as containing cell debris, also contains the red bits here, which are spike protein, which of course is the foreign protein. Now, the cells that do the eating are called macrophages, big eaters, a specialized type of white blood cell. So these eat these. I mean, macrophages are really useful. So when you've got a bacterial infection, the macrophages will actually eat the bacteria, which is exactly what we want. They eat foreign material, or they'll eat clumped together pieces of viral particles. The macrophages are exactly what we want, the white cells that gobble up and then digest foreign material, therefore eradicating it from the body. It's absolutely vital. But here, as well as eating the cell fragments, well, firstly, there shouldn't be any cell fragments because the cells shouldn't have been destroyed, or the cells shouldn't have been stimulated to commit apoptosis. Because if a cardiac cell, for example, commits apoptosis, that's really bad news, because this cardiac cell won't regenerate. That's it. It's gone for life. You'll never get that back again. Cardiac cells don't divide. Anyway, this macrophage eats it, but the spike protein here is also processed in the macrophage. And the macrophage also processes this protein and presents it on its own presenter molecule called MHC2, major histocompatibility complex 2. Don't worry too much about this. This is just like the platter that presents it. But in this case, this viral spike protein antigenic fragment, this spike protein fragment, probably only about 6 to 8 amino acids long, very, very short. But you see what it's stimulating here? That's now educating the CD4 cell to recognize the abnormal component of the spike protein. And the CD4 cells are the T helper cells, the T helper lymphocytes. And the T helper lymphocytes will send off cytokines that will recruit all of the inflammatory cells. So that will attract all of the inflammatory cells to this area, making the area inflamed and damaging the tissue even further. It's like an escalating cascade. So, for example, it will recruit eosinophils to the area. Again, the eosinophils are a specialized type of leukocyte. They're a specialized type of white blood cell, and they will release various proteins and things that damage the cells. Again, normally this is good. We want the viral infected cells killed, but in this case, we don't want them killed because they're healthy. We don't want to lose heart cells. So the eosinophils will release cell toxic proteins. And this also increases the whole inflammation in the area. So that's kind of what's going on. So that's the theory. The question is, that's just a graphic. So is this actually backed up by the histopathology? And the answer is it is. This graphic here, this generalized graphic, is actually derived from the actual histopathological slides. Now, Dr. Polycretas is actually going to send us these slides in high resolution, which I'm going to show you when they arrive. But for now, let's just look at the pictures from the paper, from the PDFs, and we'll see that that validates this science that we've just ran through here. It validates the inflammatory process caused by the spike protein from the vaccine, not the spike protein and the nucleocapsid protein as you would get with a natural infection. So we know that this is caused by the vaccine. And this is a real problem. So let's look now at the histopathological proof of this graphic. Now, this slide here is the first piece of proof we're going to give. What you see here is in red, these are the heart muscle cells. These are the cardiac myocytes. So these are the normal heart cells that do the actual contract.
And it's scary because I don't know. I've known this stuff for a long time. You know, I'm glad I can actually get this information out, and you know, people who didn't know this stuff can see that there is another side to this. There's a whole nother argument backed by science and scientists from every one of your favorite schools. So people who actually have worked on vaccines their whole life. And we're going to be bringing a lot of the videos until, you know, one of them pulls up. I'm going to start hitting people up and seeing who's going to come rock with me, man. I'm going to get somebody. It's a numbers game. It's a lot of people to email. You know, maybe I can get somebody for the low low. But yeah, because people have a lot of audacity around here on the internet, on some of these channels, acting like this stuff doesn't exist. And I think it's either they're, I don't know, maybe they were just hoping I wouldn't look, or maybe they just genuinely don't know about anything because they're so stuck in their echo chambers. I'm gonna keep it clean. They're so stuck in their echo chambers.
And then tell you that you shouldn't worry. That's the scary thing about it. How you gonna tell me that I shouldn't worry? And watch when we finish watching these studies. I'm a small guy. I know if I would have took that thing, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's get into it.
Absolutely vital, of course. And the blue blobs that we see, you can see there's blue blobs all over the place. Those blue blobs are the immune cells, indicating that there is an inflammatory reaction going on. So really, you want the immune cells to be there when you've got an infection, because the immune cells will eradicate the infection. But this is not caused by infection. It's caused by the presence of the foreign spike protein, because the immune system can't tell the difference between the presence of foreign spike protein and the presence of foreign viruses or bacteria.
Let me pause it right there real quick, and let me bring up my presentation again, because he just said that it can't tell the difference between the spike protein and foreign viruses in the body. And if you missed my presentation I did on Unc West and his epistemic double standards and scientific double standards and something, I forgot what it was. Forgot the title. I keep messing the title up. But yeah, go check that out, because I go over this. I go over how we have continuous unattended manufacturing of the spike protein in the body for up to 3 years after the vaccine. And then I show you how all the vital organs are producing this. And now it's telling you that the body is attacking this. And this study is done by cells. So I don't know. All this work is peer reviewed though. So it's not like I'm making anything up. And they could call you dumb, they could call you pseudo, they could call you crazy and a Baltimore accent all they want. But they refuse to talk about everything but this. That's what they'll do. They're going to make a whole scene. They'll crash out. And I'm convinced that most of these people must be getting a check from these vaccine manufacturers at this point because it seems like all they here to do is show up and defend the word vaccine. They don't want to go into none of the science. They gonna act like it don't exist. What are you talking about? Nigga, here, right here. Like, look, can you read what the song say? I don't know. Let's get back into John Campbell.
Hey, one,
Well,
and
all
before
these immune cells.
Did you unmute? Ollie,
before
you want to
get
say
into
something?
that-
Yep.
Yeah.
Go
Before you get into that, can you hear me? Am I clear?
Yeah, do your thing.
Bet. It's crazy because Senator Ron Johnson, when he had his committee on this, his committee released a majority staff report arguing that the FDA officials knew of a newer data mining method for detecting the safety signals, but continued using the older model with the limitations that the older model had. That's why I say, and said them be pushing like, it's, well, I ain't just gonna say individual, but the people who push for you should have took the vax or taking the vaccination, it's kind of, man, that's scary.
It's scary. You know, and as soon as we came on, we couldn't even get the crowd warmed up. Said asking for the data. Like, I don't know. A seasoned veteran would have already known about the data, would have known what data I was already going to be bringing, and would have already had it debunked. Like, how you don't know about the data? Respectfully, you know, you the homie. Right now, it's beef in the air until we start talking about religion. When we talk about this vaccine, it's beef. Because they don't want to talk to me about this. They usually said did come up here the other day and tried to explain vaccines, but he didn't address any of the issues I brought up in the presentation, and I was just tired. I didn't feel like going back over it. I told him go watch it back and do a refutation on it, and then I'll watch it back and see what you're saying, and I'll do a refutation on that, and we can just keep it going. Yeah, he said he's gonna turn it into a Said talk, so shout out Said. I'm glad I got a conversation. He's very knowledgeable on the textbook stuff about how vaccines work. That just has nothing to do with this information. You see what I'm saying? It at least allow him to understand it and digest it better than the average Joe. I'll say that. Let me give Said his credit where it's due. I don't know. I just, now that maybe he's privy to this, and you know, he'll have a better opinion about what's really going on, and I don't know. I just hope he softens the stance a little bit. So, you know, and all of them, all the pseudo killers, so the conversation can be had in a way that's not so demeaning and condescending, you know. But yeah, let's get into it.
Accumulating in the heart muscle, and they shouldn't be here. This is an abnormal finding. This is pathological. This is not what we want to see. We see here
spike protein being produced in the heart muscle, y'all. Let me get back to it.
That the heart is inflamed because of this. All these cells are immune cells. This is really bad news. It should not be like this, because we now have a myocarditis. So what you're looking at here is the combination of the heart muscle cells and the immune cells. This is the picture of myocarditis that the pathologist recognizes. Now, this picture here, it's a slightly different stain. So what we're seeing here is macrophages. So this square one here, that's pointing to macrophages, and the circles are pointing to lymphocytes. So that's a lymphocyte there. So this is a lymphocyte here. We can't tell what sort of lymphocyte it is. It could be a helper cell or a killer cell. And here we're seeing macrophages, the large white blood cells, the macrophages in the liver. are called the Kupffer cells, Kupffer, Kupffer cells. So that's what we're seeing there. So evidence of macrophages, increased number of macrophages, and evidence of lymphocytes. So again, clear evidence of myocarditis. Now, what we're looking at on this one is this is stained specifically for CD4 plus cells. That is T helper cells, CD helper cells. Interestingly, these helper cells are the ones that are affected in HIV with human immunodeficiency virus causing acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So that's what we're looking at here. These are the CD4. So this stain is specific for the.
And I just want to say, man, I just feel so blessed to be unvaxxed. I don't know. It just feels good to know that I don't got my body just pumping full of nanoparticles. You know, I don't know. We withstood all of the propaganda, the peer pressure, and the brainwashing, the fear mongering, the threats. We withstood it all and stood 10 toes down.
The T helper cells. And we know it's these T helper cells that recruit all of the other cells to the area. So as a result of these T helper cells being stimulated, many other immune cells will be attracted to worsen the myocarditis. And these were originally there stimulated by the presence of the spike protein and the protein fragments of the spike protein. This D is these labeled here. These are the CD8s. These are the killer cells. So here we see a killer lymphocyte, a CD8 cell, and these cells can kill myocardium, which is expressing spike protein. So again, this is clear evidence these shouldn't be here. Here we see some more. Across there we see some more there. They shouldn't be here. This is an abnormal finding. So again, pathological picture giving evidence of the presence of myocarditis. Now this one, E, this is specific for macrophages. So here we see macrophages in brown. And the last one, again, far too many. And the last one's probably the most important of all, because what we see here in brown, looks like is the presence of spike protein. So the brown here is spike protein. So for example, if we look up here, we see that these brown bits here. These are actually the liver macrophages, which have gobbled up the spike protein to try and get rid of it because they don't want it. So that's spike protein as seen through the macrophages. And also, if we look here on this graphic, on this bit here, what we're seeing here is this is a microscope slide of actually a blood vessel. So it's been a bit squashed by the way it's prepared, but what we're seeing here is this is the lumen in the blood vessel. So what we're seeing is
shout out Melanated Goddess. She says, shit, I've been had these nanoparticles from what y'all saying millions of people have if they have ever been active duty in the military. That's millions of people over the years. Yep, Tahuti was just up here talking about it the other day. And ways that people in the military sometimes can evade or get around having to take them. But facts, big facts. You mute out while I eat this candy.
The mRNA to code for the spike protein has got first into the wall of the blood vessel here. So all this brown staining here, this is the wall of the blood vessel, which has been stained brown. And the reason it's staining brown is this brown stain is attracted to spike protein. So what we see is these cells in what we call the vascular endothelium, the lining of the blood vessel, has produced huge amounts of spike protein. But we also know that it will get into the other parts of the myocardium as well. So we can see where it's coming from. We can see it's going through the high concentrations in the vascular endothelium. And of course, you don't want, this is going to cause inflammation of the blood vessels. Not only do we not want inflammation of the heart muscles here, heart muscle cells here, we don't want that, but we don't want inflammation of the heart vasculature either, the heart blood vessels. This is just bad news. This is myocarditis. So clear evidence that that first graphic we showed is accurate from the heart. Now let's look at some more from the liver. So this is the liver here. So what we're seeing here is actually the bile ducts. You probably know from background that it's the liver that produces bile, and the bile leaves the liver in the bile ducts. So this blue here is a portal duct, and the dark blue is the white cells. So it's not supposed to be dark blue like this, but it's all dark blue because the dark blue is the white blood cells, indicating that there is inflammation going on, indicating that there is hepatitis. And here, in fact, back the next slide, I think, shows this bit in more detail. Here, yeah, there we go. So again, we can see the white cells in blue. So these small dots here that you see, each of these small dots is a white blood cell that basically shouldn't be there, or should be there in tiny, tiny numbers. So we can see the whole thing is.
That's a lot. That's crazy. That's crazy work. And you see what it's doing to people. You know, it's confirmed. The data's out. Shitty situation, man.
Inflamed with the white blood cells. And again, this is clear proof. You can't argue with this. This is histopathology. The evidence is there before your very eyes, and we see normal liver cells around about here as well, also with some additional white blood cells, as well as particularly in the portal tracts in the where the bile goes, the bile ducts. So this is slide C from the liver. And again, here we see this brown staining here. And this brown staining, again, concentrated in the portal ducts, in the bile ducts. These are CD4 helper cells in brown. So again, far too many CD4 T helper cells. And we know that these are the cells that will attract lots of other, because the helper cells, they help the immune system to function. So they'll attract lots of other cells into the area, adding to the inflammation. And then D, the brown staining here, we see there's fewer of these, but this brown staining here is the CD8s. These are the T killer cells. So again, we see that the duct is infused with T killer cells, which will be killing liver tissue cells. And we see more here. Where's that? We see more there in the liver tissue itself. So again, hepatitis illustrated by the presence of the CD8 killer cells. This is slide E. Now, this is actually stained for, the stain here is actually what you call CD68 cells. These are actually the liver macrophages, the white cells that patrol the liver to eat viruses and bacteria, or sometimes called the Kupffer cells. And they're stained here in brown. So these are the macrophages. And again, way too many of them. And yeah, just way too many of them. We can see they're part of the inflammatory process because they're all over the place, as opposed to being very occasional in the liver. So again, further evidence of these cells being recruited and evidence of hepatitis. And then F, what we're seeing here is the liver, and the brown staining here is the spike protein. So what we're seeing here is if there's just an arrow.
Yeah, it's just doing a number on the liver, man. Damn.
It's in the Kupffer cells. It's in the macrophages. So here we see the here we see the macrophages with spike protein in it. in that example there. And when we see the semicircles there, that is the hepatocytes. That's the normal liver cells there. So these are in liver cells which are expressing spike protein. And it's the presence of the spike protein which is stimulating the inflammatory reaction, which I think we've given fairly clear evidence for now. So that is the actual histopathological proof that illustrates that this graphic here.
So how long before everybody turned to zombies? Anybody want to take some bets? I'm joking. Oh man. Okay, we got 2 more minutes on this video. I'm gonna let it finish. Not even.
Is accurate, as we looked at before. So very useful histopathological expression of the graphics of what's going on, causing the inflammation in the liver cells or the myocardial cells, causing the myocarditis and the hepatitis. And we've given the hard scientific evidence for this. Pity people choose to ignore it. Pity more people aren't doing this sort of staining. Because if this staining was done all around the world, this would be a common finding. Picture that many people that died earlier on in the vaccination program, that their organs were buried or cremated, with very, very few postmortems being done. If the normal amount of postmortems had been done, this could have been common knowledge by now. So peer-reviewed publication, histopathological slides as evidence. I'm convinced. Let me know if you are. We need a moratorium on mRNA.
I'm gonna drop that link again. I want y'all to come up and let me know how you feel about this. You know, again, it's sad that things went down the way they did. I'm just disappointed in the way that people are trying to protect these folks to no end. And it's like, for what? Just let the science fall where it fall, bro. Like, why are you you know, I know that's your man's and all, but you know, hey, to each their own. Yeah, here goes that link, man. One more time for the one time. Shout out Dios Mios. Shout out 24 Darian. Durain.
Durain, 24 Durain. Durain. I sit here and dealt with that for a minute just looking at it. Is that Darian or Durain?
Yeah, it's going. Shout out Melanated Goddess in the chat. Smash in here for another one. Old account. Peace to you. Peace and blessings to you, brother. Dead Blacks. Hope you're having a good day out there. Body Artist. Peace. I'm just going through a couple of these. Michigan's Natural Living. Shout out to you. How you feeling today? I am, Lamar Pope. Peace. Hope you're having a good day out there, man. Hope I got that right. Sir Ghouls. Trolling in chat today. How you feeling, man? Hope you're having an amazing day, man. I hope you learned something new. I'm not, you know, even if I didn't change your mind on nothing or nothing really educated you. Well, I guess learning something new would be educating you. So, yeah. Shout out Kev STL314. Shout out to one of the top people pretending none of this stuff exists, Cedric Ortega. Yeah. Did I drop that link for y'all? Yeah, I dropped the link. Okay. I'm going to give people a couple minutes to come up. While we do that, let's go to a word from our sponsors. Dum, dum, dum. Let's pause the noise for a second, because if you're still here right now, you're already different. Not everyone gets this. Not everyone understands real debate, real scholarship, real intellectual smoke. But you do. This is Coliseum of Arguments. This is Titans Debate League. And what happens here doesn't survive on algorithms. It survives on the people who believe in it. When you support through Cash App, you're not just donating. You're fueling the arena. You're the reason we can bring in high-level guests. You're the reason we keep unbiased judges. You're the reason these debates stay sharp, fair, and uncompromised. This platform is built by thinkers, sustained by supporters, protected by the ones who know value when they see it. If this show has ever sharpened your mind, has ever entertained you, or has ever challenged what you thought you knew, then Cash App is how you say, keep this going. Not everyone contributes, but the ones who do, they're part of what makes this real. Coliseum of Arguments, Titans Debate League, powered by the people who get it.
My heart is bleeding in a pool of blood, I'm drowning. Yeah. My heart is bleeding in a pool of blood, I'm drowning. I look in the mirror now.
Yo, we back. Body Artist 999. I want to touch on a couple of these comments real quick. A1 for you continue. But Body Artist 999 said, "What up, though? A1, good work, bro. You bringing respect back to the community." Hey, man, it's called cleaning up the community, man. You muted.
I don't keep a dirty front yard, and I pick up trash when I see it. I don't care if I threw it there or not. You know.
Straight up. I don't even like throwing it there. And then we got Smashing Idol. Smashing Idol say, my question is science good for us or bad? Or is it dependent on the element of science you're looking into? And for me, Smashing Idol, shout out Smashing Idol in the chat. For me, Smashing Idol is after science makes their investigation into things, they experiments, and they give they analysis. It don't matter what. You still have to take your personal well-being into account and say, will this work for me? Will it not work? Like, we know they got drugs that work for people that you shouldn't take. It's the same thing with this. And so to say that everybody must take this, that's not, it just ain't true. And we see the risks of it. There's so many risks. So for me, it's just, you got to take your own personal interest into it after science makes its assumptions and claims. And
Yeah, we know who Dr. John Campbell is, Sir Ghouls. You keep running around with his credentials in your mouth like you his Indeed application. It's okay. We know exactly who he is. We know he's got a PhD in nursing. The nurse who's gonna take care of you when you're in the hospital when you sick. Yeah, he gives real good breakdowns, and again, he's real buddy, and has a lot of the people on his podcast who actually worked on the vaccines, who are actually too busy in the labs to run a channel. So shout out to him. You know, we appreciate you for letting us know he's got a PhD again. It's okay. You're defending a claim that, you're fighting against a claim that nobody made. And then you're repeating yourself at the same time. I'm just confused. It's okay. You have nothing to say about immunologist Professor Angus. You didn't say he's not a doctor. You didn't say he's not an immunologist. I'm just confused. You were here when that was playing. You know, and I digress. But again, right in front of your face, you see people wanting to check, it's the cognitive dissonance. It feels like an attack. They're finally trying to find any reason to discredit it, but they won't touch the science. Can you touch the science? He just went over the cells, peer-reviewed research. And he just did a basic breakdown and explainer. I'd rather watch this guy with a PhD in nursing than you or Cedric or Uncle West. I'm not taking medical advice from either one of three of y'all. I don't know. He just says nurse like they have no respect because you listen to your nurse when you go to the hospital, but now all of a sudden you're trying to discredit her. Boys, if you don't quit. What's wrong with Mans? Mans must have took the jibby jab. He just here to defend the word vaccine, y'all. He ain't here to touch none of the science. He ain't here to do the real work. You know, shout out 24 Derain. And nurses are the ones that are doing the injections. I respect he looked into what he's doing. Not just being a yes man. You know, appreciate that. You said it way better than I did. Tahuti Afar to the stage. How you feeling today, brother? Any questions, comments, or thoughts on anything you heard so far?
I'm feeling magnificent. I sound like a record, but I'm you once a great presentation. I think you did it. I think before on the show, you know, conscious sector needs to.
Dang, you breaking up so bad I can't make out your sentences for real. That sucks. Is that what? No, that's not what you meant when you said broken record. I don't know if you have another device or maybe get closer to the router. Shout out Melanated Goddess. She says PhD in nursing means he is an expert in creating nurses to include nurse practitioners. I don't know. I didn't see a question mark at the end of that, but kind of felt like one. Tahuti, let's get that another shot, man. Okay, he dropped off. Tahuti dropped off one time, but any questions, comments, or thoughts, Oli, on all of that? I'm about to shut it down here in a second. I want to give him some time to come back up, though.
Yes. Yeah, my bad. I'm doing something right now. Hey, well, I can't even comment because I'm
Okay, do your thing. You good? We got Melanated Goddess to the stage. How you feeling?
Peace to you.
Peace.
No, actually wasn't a question. I was just basically stating that someone who gets to the level of a PhD in nursing, I'm sure, like my little cousin is, she'll be starting her nursing program on Monday. Her professors will be PhDs, PhDs in nursing. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
They, like her professors are not going to be doctors or people who aren't, basically that's like the terminal degree in that field. So I'm sure they've done their own research. They've written a dissertation. Like that's, I don't know. Like, so to me, that's pretty high. So it's
Yeah, I give them respect too.
Diminishing, yeah, the person in the chat was diminishing their credentials. Like, oh, you're just a nurse. Well, no, he's not an LPN. Like, I'm just saying, like, put some respect on his name. He's not an LPN. Not that LPNs are bad. You know what I'm saying? But not a CNA. Like, no, that's not what a PhD in nursing is. And it's like on one hand, people diminish like Western credentials and Western science, but then they use those same things as the ruler and the measuring stick of what's valid, what's something reputable, like pick a struggle, pick a argument, but I don't know. That's
That's
my little
facts.
feedback.
You spit facts, girl. And yeah, like that was Sir Gould's. He's trying to diminish him. He's just a nurse. No, he has a PhD in nursing. And now I understand your comment. He creates nurses,
Hmm.
including nurse practitioners. So put some respect on his name and stop trying to run around with your slander campaign because you can't even explain one slide that he brought forth. It's getting scary. And he's trying to tell me what to do with my body. Why? Just worry about yours, bro. I haven't came up here and told nobody what to do either. I haven't told anybody to take it or not take it. I did say I felt good that I did it. I don't know what you so insecure
Yeah, I mean,
about
I
that.
wish I could say I didn't take it too, However, like that doesn't mean because I took it, I'm like, yeah, everybody get it. You know what I'm saying? Like you could still, um, I guess you could be objective as to information. Like just because, first of all, I wasn't the first one jumping in line, like shoot me up, shoot me up. No, like I put it in the chat, like I wasn't joking. Like I literally was trying to get religious exemption, pretending to be a Rasta. Like 'cause I was like, everybody knows Rastas don't take medication anyway. Like everything is natural for them. So I figured I have lots that they could believe this. So I wasn't hearing it. It wasn't. So I say come to pressure.
Yeah, like I say, I feel blessed to have come into the information that I did when I did, as fast as I did, because they was on everybody head. I don't know, and then I don't know, everything lined up right, but I ain't stick myself.
Yeah, I think I didn't get it until 2020 when it came out.
Oh,
Was it like 2020? It was
I think
during 2020.
2020, yeah, 2020. I want to say,
Yeah, I didn't get it till 2020. I'm telling you, I was getting all kind of like third final warning. I was like, I was getting all these emails. I was ignoring it. Like I had to I had to do an interview. I had to submit documentations about my belief system. It was like a whole, yeah, it was a whole thing because I was like, this is too new. That was my thing. Is this is too new? Like I want to see people start, having reactions and stuff. I don't want to be putting that in their body. So like I could. So to me, a person who is for the vaccine, if they can hear someone having that level of skepticism and they want to dismiss it as, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, or they want to dismiss it like, why should, to me, they should respect a person who is critical about what they want to put into their bodies, um, and question the motives of Western medicine. Like, I just think that that's plausible. Like, it's just crazy to question it.
yeah, and yeah. Again, I just wish we can have these conversations in a less condescending and demeaning way. Cause they going around calling people stupid and just all type of stuff, pseudo, crazy, scientifically illiterate. I know you see what's going on out here. Like you say, it's okay to be critical of what you put in your body. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I just
Hmm.
think all vaccines aren't created equal. And you know, the studies that are coming out are showing that. So I feel it. I don't know. I hope I helped the community out with this one. It's a lot of people in our sector who don't really look into this stuff and look at what the doctors, the actual people who are working on the vaccines, are saying, and even looking for the studies. They look to different channels for resources. I don't know. So I guess I'm just doing my part. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think even somebody put in the chat, I was kind of confused, like during lockdown and things like that. They put it not being able to talk about it. all the censorship and laws against us means we are right. I remember hearing people start using the word the jab, and I was like, why they censoring what they saying? Why they can't say this? And people were posting things and it was getting deleted, and like, yeah, there should be some attention to that, like, because since when? Since when you got to censor yourself to this degree? Like, that should be a problem. It's, it's worth looking at.
That's facts. I had a bunch of videos taken down from my old page for that. I'm gonna try to put them back up. I'm gonna upload them to something different first and see if what happens. But I was going over the science immediately. I was going over the science that Pfizer had put out. Well, they had got sued and were forced to put it out. They were trying to make us wait 75 years. But per the judge's request, he gave them like 180 days to get their findings out and their studies out. And it revealed that they had been lying to us on the mainstream media had been lying to us the whole time. And if you missed my podcast, I think you were there when I did that show on Quest, so you probably caught some of it. But
Yeah, I do. I want to go back and watch it. I was kind of in and out of that show. Then I saw the part where Cedric was on there, and I don't know. I think it was interesting watching him, like, listen to what you were saying, and it was just like he would kind of, like, I guess, understand your sentiments, but then say that your sentiments were that way because of a lack of information. Like, you just don't understand it. That was, like, at the end of the day, that's what I got from what he was saying. Like,
yeah, and that's what he does, and then he tries to go into a re-education of vaccines. But I already understand how vaccines work. I understand that this one is different. I actually understand how this one works based on the studies that are coming out. He asked me. They never really asked me for any other information. They just automatically assume I'm crazy, which leads me to assume, well, like he was saying, where are the studies? Where are the studies? Like, bro, you should already know the studies that are coming out. And how don't you know? Like, are you feigning ignorance or are you really? Which one is it? See how I just did that without having to actually insult him? Now I posed it as a question. Are you feigning ignorance or are you ignorant? He's got to tell me. I'm not going to insult him and say he is this or that. But like I say, how you don't know?
I could imagine, like, yeah, I think that people just have to understand that it's going to take time for studies. Like, I don't know anyone right now who has volunteered for a study. Do you know anyone who has volunteered to participate in a COVID
nope
study to provide any sort of so for us to go further in understanding any sort of symptoms, any sort of, like, frequency and actually reoccurrence of getting this illness or any side effects from it, how their life was before they had it. Like, I don't know anyone, and I know that's anecdotal, but I'm just saying that the more, like, when you really start to do research, I feel like all you find out is how little research there is. I'm doing an assignment right now on the herb called skullcap, and I need to find a systematic review, which is where there's multiple different clinical trials that is assessed in one review. They review, however many clinical trials they can find. I can't find one systematic review on skullcap alone. There's skullcap and passion flower, skullcap and this, skullcap and that. So therefore, at the end of the day, the results are going to show that you can't definitively say that these results are due to this herb because there was other herbs involved. You see what I mean? So, like, if you're trying to do a research on the impact of COVID, that there might, like, oh my gosh, there might be a million different variables affecting people, and I just don't even know, like, who's signing up for them, what part of the country these people are, like, is it our community signing up to be in these trials? Like, we just don't know.
I ain't seen nobody. I don't know who would want to be the guinea pig, but I
So is
feel
the
like they made
information going to affect?
the world the guinea pig and put it out, and now they just
But
I
they
guess
got
it
to
was
find a way to study that. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's like, because if you gave the world the intervention, but how are you? What is the tool that you're measuring the intervention? So whatever these nanoparticles are supposed to do, right? How are you extrapolating? Okay, of those people who were vaccinated, the nanoparticles are doing this at 3 months out, this at 3 years out. This, like, we don't know how this stuff is even being measured. How are they getting the data to research it? They getting access to everyone's medical records? Are they? I don't know. Right?
damn, my computer freezing. Can you
Yeah,
still
this
hear
whole
me?
world. I can hear you.
Okay, I was trying to look for this video. My computer lagging. I'm gonna do some videos on that actually, on the studies that they actually did. We're gonna actually look at exactly what was done and see how they conducted them. Because they doing, the pseudo killer specifically is doing a lot of scamming and flim flam, and they've given me a lot of material to go over and refute with data that's actually out. So I'm just gonna make sure I do it with data and keep bringing stuff forth because the people need to know there's a whole nother argument supported by science, um, so they can just make a fully informed decision. So I'm
Well,
trying to find this.
I look
this-
forward to seeing more information on um the how they're researching this now. Because to
Gotcha.
be honest with you, I just like watching debates really, but I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm going through my own little rabbit hole over here. Like, I don't be, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I
yeah,
got you.
like,
I got you. Next
so
week, I'm gonna have something put together for you.
ignorant people that one of those ignorant people Cedric was talking about. That's me, or the ignorant. Then that's me.
I got you.
For any information, I'll tune in and listen to the information. Definitely.
I want to play this video for everybody real quick before I get up out of here.
Okay,
It's
I'm
called
gonna drive
COVID.
down. I'll go and watch the video. Peace to you, brother.
Appreciate you for pulling up and sharing your thoughts too. And I got you on
You
that
were.
episode. This video is called COVID Karma. Pretty hilarious to say the least. Here it goes.
Hey, you're not gonna get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Hey folks, guess you heard this morning I tested positive for COVID.
And when people are vaccinated, they can feel safe that they are not going to get infected.
Dr. Fauci says he has COVID again.
If you've done the right thing and gotten vaccinated, you deserve the freedom to be safe from COVID-19. And this morning, I learned I tested positive for COVID-19 as well.
Until all of us are part of widespread vaccine programs, no one is safe. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has tested positive for COVID-19.
If you are vaccinated, you are protected. They are effective.
Vice President Kamala Harris has announced that she's tested positive for COVID-19.
With 3 doses that you'll be prevented not just from serious illness, but from getting this virus, this Omicron variant, and therefore giving it to others.
Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews is in quarantine for 7 days after testing positive to COVID.
So I'm fully vaccinated. It gives me some comfort. The fact that that's there, not for myself so much, but the people I'm coming into contact with.
Anthony Albanese has just tested positive for coronavirus.
And I don't know, if you vaccinated, you know, remember they was still making you wear the mask? If you vaccinated, why do you care if I'm vaccinated? Ain't you safe? They still had these people scared. It just it didn't make sense.
Having received 2 doses of AstraZeneca, it's a very effective vaccine, protection from symptomatic
Oh, and these are all public officials on this video.
illness and therefore risk of transmission to others.
It is great that companies have developed safe and effective vaccines, but we can't seem to make them quickly enough to stop the global spread that threatens all of us.
Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren just announcing she, in fact, has tested positive for COVID.
With the ongoing circulation of the COVID virus in our communities. If you're eligible as of today to get your 3rd dose, please do so.
Like so many other Victorians and Australians, those dreaded double lines came up.
So if we put a clamp on COVID-19 and prevent it from spreading from anyone, even if they have minimal symptoms.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau just tweeting out that he has tested positive for COVID. This would be the 2nd time the Prime Minister has tested positive.
You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
Hey, folks, guess you heard. This morning I tested positive for COVID.
Of the definition of people dying of COVID. So the case definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis. So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that if it technically...
Y'all remember this? Because, they love to scare y'all with them numbers. Numbers can be manipulated, too. Shout out to this black woman. Dr. Elizabeth, the director of the Department of Public Health, for coming out and speaking the truth about, how these numbers are inflated. Let's get into it, though.
I just want to be clear in terms of the definition of people dying of COVID. So the case definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis. So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death. I hope that's helpful.
Shout out to that black woman. You know what I'm saying? Doctor. I said her name wrong. My screen got a glare on it. Shout out to her, man. Let me play another one, man. Share screen. No, I don't want to share my screen. I want to share video. Let me see. Christina Parks. Dr. Christina Parks is somebody I'm going to be playing as well. You'll be seeing me bring up some of her videos. And I just want to show you something, because the first people to ever foment vaccine hesitancy, were the Democrats. And then they turned around and tried to demonize anybody who did it. But we learned it from them. Let's get into it.
Trump administration approves a vaccine before or after the election. Should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it. Absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out.
I guess if Dr. Fauci says take it. Donald Trump was never supposed to win. They weren't supposed to have this problem. I honestly believe that. They weren't supposed to have this problem shoving this down your throat. And he was a big hiccup in their plan. Another story for another podcast, though. Let me play Dr. Christina Parks before I depart. I'm not clicking on the wrong buttons because I need some sleep. I've been up too long.
Hello, my name is Dr. Christina Parks. I received my PhD in cellular and molecular biology right here in the state of Michigan from University of Michigan Medical School. And so I'm very well versed in the science of both these mRNA gene therapy, vaccines, this kind of technology, as well as what a vaccine is designed to do in the body, what it can do, what it can't do, and the fact that this is extremely complex science that has been oversimplified in the media to basically take away our freedom of choice. What I want to address today in this limited time is the fact that vaccine requirements and mandates are based on the faulty assumption that the vaccines in question prevent transmission of the pathogen, right? Does the vaccine for DTaP prevent transmission? No. Does the vaccine for flu prevent transmission? No. Do the vaccines for COVID prevent transmission? No. In fact, they were never designed to do that. All right, so you're asking, what about this 95% effectiveness? If you look at those clinical trials, they do not say that they prevent transmission. They expressly say that they're measuring whether they attenuate symptoms. So they're 95% effective based on their clinical trials at attenuating symptoms for the first variant, which is essentially gone in our population. Right now, the predominant variant is the Delta, and CDC Director Walensky basically said that these vaccines have no ability to prevent infection by and transmission of the Delta variant. So our policy needs not to be built on the hope of what we think something we want it to do, but what the data actually tell us. So do these viruses do the vaccines prevent the virus from infecting and replicating in the nose and nasopharynx? No. They've only been shown to prevent that replication in the lungs. They're different. The mucosa is very different than the lungs. It's very different than the blood. You inject it to the blood, you make antibodies in your blood. The virus isn't infecting your blood. It's infecting your mucosa, and you don't produce any IgA to neutralize it. In fact, recent studies have shown that the vaccinated, especially with the Delta variant, and the unvaccinated have similar amounts of virus in their nose and throat. In Barnstable, Massachusetts, the CDC tracked an outbreak of 469 cases of COVID. 74% occurred in fully vaccinated, and 4 out of 5 of those hospitalized were vaccinated. All right, so maybe they are mandating this because they just didn't know with the COVID. And so my main complaint is with our health agencies and the CDC, who basically know better and are misleading the public. So let's look at DTaP, which the scientists and the CDC have known since 2014 that the acellular pertussis vaccine does not prevent people from getting infected with the pertussis bacteria and passing it to others. In fact, it was never designed to do that. The vaccine was designed to neutralize the pertussis toxin. Pertussis, we know it as whooping cough. It can be fatal for children under 6 months. So neutralizing this toxin saves lives, all right? I'm not going to debate that. But what it doesn't do is neutralize the bacteria. So what happens is fully vaccinated children go to daycare, they pick up that bacteria, and they come home and they give it to their newborn brother or sister. They get deathly ill, and they go to the hospital. Hopefully, our medical professionals are able to save them. But who do they blame? Now the CDC is blaming anti-vaxxers for the limitations of this vaccine design. I suggest that they be transparent and tell parents that although it is preventing severe disease in
Yeah, it's like they don't want to talk about how we were gaslit and how they lied to us. They just act like everything was on the up and up and act like we're crazy to be vaccine hesitant. These people were trying to make it seem like the unvaccinated were the reason that were the problem, and they weren't. They were just actually lying. They were trying to get more people stuck with this. Let me rewind this just a hair and let her go in again.
Anti-vaxxers for the limitations of this vaccine design. Who do they blame? Now the CDC is blaming anti-vaxxers for the limitations of this vaccine design. I suggest that they be transparent and tell parents that although it is preventing severe disease in their children, it is not preventing transmission, because we have created a whole class of asymptomatic pertussis carriers who are increasing the disease. Now, the old DTP vaccine that many of you who are my age or older got did prevent transmission. When we switched to the safer acellular version, they knew that it was never designed to prevent transmission. It was safer, it had less adverse events, but pertussis cases have gone through the roof. There's a resurgence in pertussis because of the design of the vaccine, and the vaccinologists know this. They're trying to address it, and so we cannot mandate that something that does not prevent transmission. All right, what about the flu vaccine? Well, they have shown.
That's funny because you're right. Uncle called her a pseudo and run, but she's got a PhD in cellular molecular biology. Oh man, these guys are funny, man. I just can't take them serious, and they'll get aggressive with you, be rude to you about it. It's not like they having the I don't feel like they're having a conversation in good faith. I feel like they're just here to defend the word vaccine, and they got to be getting a check for this because they promoting it at the highest level for no good reason, purposely omitting information that they know is negative about it. And I guess either they're willfully ignorant to the studies that are out that, say this is bad, or yeah, I don't know. That's gotta be it. Or they're pretending. I don't think they're pretending though. Because said came in, was like, where's the science? Where's the science? What's the data say? Like, let me warm the crowd up first, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah.
That basically there's no difference, there's no statistical difference if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, whether you get the flu or not. But it's even worse because although that first year it is somewhat effective, it's about 65% effective at preventing symptoms in you, after that it actually has negative efficacy. And I want to address this because it's very important. Vaccines are made to a specific variant, and when that variant mutates, the vaccine no longer recognizes it. And so it's like you're seeing a completely new virus. And because that's so, you actually get more severe symptoms when you're vaccinated against one variant, and then it mutates, and then your body sees the other variant. So there's the potential, and the science shows that, in fact, with the flu, if you get vaccinated in multiple years, you are more likely to get severe disease, you are more likely to have more viral replication, and you are more likely to be hospitalized, both in adults and in children. We are seeing the same thing in COVID with the Delta variant. And so we are mandating that people get a vaccine that could actually make them more sick when they're exposed to the virus. In fact, this week, a paper came out, and what it showed is that with this Delta variant, when you're vaccinated, your body makes antibodies that are supposed to neutralize the virus, but they were supposed to neutralize the old variant. When they see this new variant, what they're doing is the antibodies are taking the virus and helping it infect the cells. All right, that science was just published this week. We need to be looking at the science, and we need our policy to reflect the science, and we also need it to reflect our rights. Okay. And so, as a PhD who knows the science, I'm in the category of the most vaccine hesitant group. Yes, PhDs are the most vaccine hesitant, followed by people who have less than a high school degree because they know what they don't know, and they don't trust their government. And many people, the other group that is very vaccine hesitant are African Americans. 70% of African Americans have not taken this vaccine. Why? Because they don't trust their government. Do they have reason not to trust their government? Well, between the years of 1930 and 1970, the CDC conducted the Tuskegee experiment, where they took untreated males with syphilis and they refused to treat them. Even after antibiotics became available, they still did not treat them, and they did not tell them that they had syphilis. They told those people that they were there to secure their health, and they did not secure their health. They abused them. You say, well, that was in the past, although I don't think 1970 was that long ago. Well, in 2012, whistleblower William Thompson came forward and said, we published a study that said MMR does not cause autism, but we lied. In fact, we shredded data that showed that when black boys are vaccinated on time, they have increased rates of autism diagnosis, and we shredded it and we left it out of the paper. As an African American and a PhD, I want to ask each of you, are we going to exclude 70% of African American people from the workforce and from education? Right, my ancestors did not work this hard. I come from a family that worked very hard, and I'm very aware that my privileges are dependent on the work of my grandmother and my great-grandmother, and I have great respect for these people that put me where I am. And yet you're telling me that my son will not be able to be educated if, based on the history of African Americans in this country, that he doesn't want to be vaccinated? All right, so I will leave you with that question. Who are we going to exclude from the workforce? Are we going to continue with discrimination and segregation in the United States of America? Thank you.
Shout outs, PhD in cellular molecular biology, Dr. Christina Park. She will be seeing me bring a lot of stuff from her as well. She's got some dope stuff out I've been saving over the years. Again, I'm just going over videos that are on my computer. These have been on here for quite some time. Let me play this though. This is on YouTube. Let me share my screen. This is, you know, like she said, 75% of Americans haven't taken the vaccine, and they have think tanks that know that we should be their number one target if they want to get everybody vaccinated. So, you know, it's no mystery.
Tiering.
And this is why, you know, we saw Bill and Melinda out here on this campaign.
They deserve to get this vaccine first. And from there, you want to do tiering in various countries to make sure your most vulnerable.
Wait, what did she say?
They deserve to get this vaccine first.
Who?
And from there, you want to do tiering in various countries to make sure your most vulnerable populations get it. In our country, that would be Blacks and Native Americans, people with underlying health conditions, and the elderly. And so we need to look at, as a globe, and we're involved with many European leaders and African leaders and others in Southeast Asia, to make sure there's a purchasing fund that can pull
that's
that
crazy.
vaccine
I
through
knew
when
when
it's
they
available.
said they wanted black folks to get it first. I knew it was something up. I knew it was something up, and I refused to trust them at that point. And I really started digging. Like, well, if I'm not going to take it, it's got to be for a good reason, not just because I have some anxiety about people in sweater vests and button ups with no tie. You know. But, you know, I started digging into the science. Like, I got to go over the data. Let me find the data. And that's actually what ultimately led me to my decision, was data. And I guess it was a game of who had what data, because Sid don't know about none of this stuff I be over here talking about or going over. Yeah, let me play that one more time. Who did they want to take it first again? Native Americans and black folks.
They deserve to get this vaccine first. And from there, you want to do tiering in various countries to make sure your most vulnerable populations get it. In our country, that would be Blacks and Native Americans, people with Blacks and Native Americans, Blacks and Native Americans, Blacks and Native Americans, people with underlying health conditions, and the elderly. And so we need to look at, as a
New World Order out this joint. New world order gonna turn into the one world order. Just gotta get rid of a few people first, huh? That's what they say. All right, y'all. You know, it's been fun. I do gotta get out of here. I can play this video though. Nah, I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna play that. Yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here, man. Shit, remember my motto, treat your smile like your money. Never let them steal it. Have a beautiful day out there. Peace. Gonna end with some Titans radio for y'all. I wrote a song about it. Want to hear it? Here it go.
Pressure inside of my spirit, they thought I would bend, I just held in my lane. They said the things I believe with delusion, I waited on truth, now they talk like I'm sane. Told you that I was the one, who would not move the same. Silent, never undone, so burn while I rise with a flame. Put up with love in the cut, heart in the front, what's up, I had to sign off on my ego, looking up that scene, I'm on my day ones, on a new wave, pouring more faith in my cup. Treating my peace like a ghost, safe, locked up, can't touch, yeah. I know they play with me, speak on my name to see if I'll break it. I let them talk in the breeze, they be posting up lies, but my soul never stays with it. Damn, max a paper thing, yeah. Treat your smile like your money, don't let nobody steal it. They can throw their words at you, but they can't break your spirit. Truth don't shake and my soul won't trade it. Peace of mind is the crown I wear. Treat your smile like your money, don't let nobody steal it. They can throw their doubts at you, but they can't come near it. Heart stay safe when your mind's awake, and I keep my peace cause nobody can fake it. It's up again, my music on again. Truth's up again, my spirit's up again. Is it the noise? Been learning the highways. It's quiet thinking when I'm in the right lane. Ignore the bright lights in the driveways. Walk through the door, let the small talk fly away. Ooh, feel your pain, I feel your pain. It's a house of change, welcome to the house of change. We break the chains, look at the lines that they draw, the stories they sell that don't ever add up. Say they want love, then they move out of fear, contradiction and no way to tell love. I had to sit with the mirror, that's why I react when I know it's all dust. Logic over all my triggers, breath in my chest, every doubt I adjust. Philosophy in my veins, governments in my veins, I don't rush. Master my ways when the pressure get heavy, I'm rooted, I trust. Truth don't shake and my soul won't trade it. Peace of mind is the crown I wear. It's up again, my peace is up again. Yeah. All this knowledge on the flow. I've been golden from the go. Let these pseudo scholars no. Baby, welcome to the show. Yeah, show you how to flex with a strong point. Wait. Show you where the facts and the stats and the proofs point. I've been grinding leases in the late night. Wait, standing on the stage with the main light. Enlightening. Philosophers, scientists, historians united. Warriors of logic who want the smoke, get excited. Bring your primary sources, don't get ignited. Slide on my prompts, look it up, read a book. Never going back to the dumb, take a look. Woke, not broke, we run the show, sport the glow. Titans in the league, watch the intellect grow. Coliseum arguments locked at the door. Welcome to the show, floor full of lore. I'm the GOAT, with the it's important. Show up, don't be late to the debate. Never see myself falling. Picture me falling off back to ignorant and stalling. Got the citations loaded in order, crossing every intellectual border. Hey, I could've never seen a day. All this knowledge on the flow. I've been goaded from the go. Let these pseudo scholars go. Baby, welcome to the show. They say I perfected the timing again. Titans the base league, we here for the win. Born divine with all of my kin. I see they religious, they worry about sin. That's all they do and they be like, they say I perfected the timing again. Titans the base league, we here for the win. Born divine and all of my kin. I see they religious, they worry about sin. Hop out the Lexus and slid in the Benz. Pouring libations with all of my friends. Manifesting got me 10 out of 10. I live in abundance, got money to spend. They say I perfected the timing again. Titans the base league, we here for the win. Born divine and all of my kin. I see they religious, they worry about sin. Hop out the Lexus and slid in the Benz. Pouring libations with all of my friends. Manifesting got me 10 out of 10. We gone to the top, little shorty, get in. Yeah, watch how you address me when you step in the room. I'm the host and debater, HMNC in full bloom. I be that for lashes like work to my floor. Check your epistemics before you knock on my door. Y'all talking circular, trapped in a loop. I'm slicing through noise like a razor through brood. Bring all the scholarly smoke from your...
Different type of animal. Different type of animal. Now everybody better listen up. For my people in the struggle who never gave a what. Even when life try to press you down, turn your frown to a smile. I make styles just to lift you up. I'm a different type of animal. Way different type of animal. To the succeed, easy to see. I'm a different type of animal. Different type of animal. No fur, no scales, just feathers on me. Different type of animal. Steady hustling, steady grinding. Getting money every time I put my time in. When they ask what I got up under my sleeve, they never gon' believe when I tell them it's all timing. Everybody want a real life attitude. Incoherent, now they mad at you. Some people can't get it, now they laugh at you. Till they see the glow, now they copying the altitude. I never was the type, it was handed to. Had to put it together like mechanics do. Now you see I got the tools to succeed. Different mindset, different breed, different view every time I play or breathe. Quantum thoughts, I evolve every week. Young Al, been wild since a young child. Still fresh to the death, no funeral style. How could you walk in my shoes? We run the town. Big shoes to fill. Never been a clown. I'm a different type of animal. Way different type of animal. To the succeed, easy to see. I'm a different type of animal. Different type of animal. No fur, no scales, just feathers on me. Different type of animal. Talking about the block, I've been around, fighting through the hard times till it spin around.